And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Blue Sunday, brought to you from in the blue corner. Tonight, we've got, as usual, our regular panel member, Mr. Vince Lochisano. Good evening, Vince. How are you tonight?
G'day, Joe. G'day, everyone.
That's good. Our special guest, Chris Beach, the librarian. How are you, mate?
Evening, guys. How are we?
Mate, the library's looking a bit thin behind you. I think you need a few more books.
I think that can be arranged pretty quickly. We'll fix something.
That's good. And last but not least, our medical sub. We're trying to get him to 300 appearances. The Godfather. How are you, Goz?
That's brutal. That's brutal. How come he gets
Come
a
on,
special
mate. You're a
guest? How can I get a
stalwart.
medical sub?
You're a stalwart of the Carlton Football Club, of the channel. But there's no Carlton Football Club without Goz.
More like an instigator.
Don't
Right.
be like that, mate.
How
Don't
are
be
you,
like that.
boys? Thanks for
Now,
having
Joe,
me.
we better explain, Joe, why there's a panel of four men here on the on the show tonight, and no female representation. We should explain that we actually did attempt to get about three or four, I think, different friends of ours, female friends.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, our regular panel member, Debbie Pulte, couldn't join us tonight. We've put her out for the pre-season operation. You know, we're getting her fit for next year. Just doing a bit of clean-up,
Come
just
on.
a few hammies and stuff like that. No, Debbie has a phone call to England, and I don't know if people noticed, but on her page, she's getting her first book published. So I'll put that on the page later on. And we were meant to have a couple of the old Bagabells back on, Gina and Lana, but Gina, has got a really bad migraine. So I hope she's watching and sending her all our love and best wishes. And Lana's been delayed, so hopefully we'll get her on later on.
Okay.
So, guys, trade week so far. I was having a bit of a chat to Beachy before we came on. I'll start with you then, Beachy. What are your thoughts of what's happened so far?
Well, I believe that we have picked up the players that I believe we need to pick up. We needed a two-way runner in George Hewitt, and he is the guy that will probably take us to, I hope, a better land, but we need to see what happens with the rest. Lewis Young, look, we need a third ruck option in the event that Pitnet and TDK both go down with injury. He's young, he's tall, and he will go back to help Jones and Wiedering in the defence as well. So, look, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. We've only had to pretty much sacrifice pick 6 and a future third. That's with the Cerra trade. So, look, I'm pretty happy with that. It's now to put the pieces in motion, guys.
Well, that's good. That's good. Vince, please share with us. We'll go through each of the individual trades, but just a summary to date, please.
Well, I guess we've attempted to plug up a few holes and boost our playing stocks in certain areas where we're weak, or when I say weak, where we don't have depth, such as the midfield. I think Cerra will be a very good acquisition. Pick 6 plus a future third. You can argue the toss. I thought it was just going to be pick 6 for him, but obviously Fremantle held out for an additional pick. We've had to throw in a future third. I guess we're not too fussed about that. So I guess we get a ready-made player who's already played nearly 100 games, I think, or thereabouts. So, I think Cerra can hit the ground running so long as he's fit. And ready to go for round one. He'll be an immediate acquisition that'll make a big difference in the midfield to help out Walsh and Cripps and players like that. So I'm glad to have him. Will he make a world of difference? Time will tell. But it'll certainly help in terms of our depth. Lewis Young, I think, could be a potential key position player. As Beachy said, he's also a backup in case one or both of our ruckmen go down. So he's an unknown quantity to a large extent. He hasn't played a lot of football with the Bulldogs. How many games has he played, Beachy? Do you know?
Yeah, he's played 24.
Yeah, 24. So he's
And
not
Cerra's
quite
played
yet.
76. Sorry,
What's
Cerra's
that?
played 76 games.
Yeah, 76. So generally speaking, once you've played about 35, 40 games thereabouts, you're starting to get to that level where, you know what it's all about. You're getting a regular game. That's where Cerra has already well and truly surpassed that. I think Lewis Young hasn't quite got to that stage yet, but a good pre-season and a good year ahead of him will hopefully see him start approaching that 40-game mark.
Yeah.
Mm.
The
And the other
Godfather-
one.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say the other one, which is George Hewitt. I think he will be, to a large extent, a younger and more efficient in terms of his disposal option to an Ed Curnow. So I think once Ed's had enough and put the cue in the rack, I think you'll find that George Hewitt will take that sort of role within the team as a tagger, but as well as that, he can also get plenty of his own ball. And I think the biggest difference with him and Ed Curnow is that disposal efficiency. Ed, while he does get a lot of the ball, I think you'll find that his overall efficiency is somewhere around 55%, which is quite significantly lower than it ought to be at this elite level. So that's the biggest criticism I hear about Ed Curnow is his disposal efficiency. So hopefully George Hewitt will become an important cog also in that midfield machine. I still worry about our pace. I think Cerra will help, but I still think that midfield lacks a little bit when it comes to genuine speed. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Goz, speak to me. What
Now,
you so
Joe,
far? Yeah.
Joe, any question that you want to ask me, can I go on before Vince? Because I really can't top what he just said. Going to add in that, though, a Young actually debuted in 2017 for the Bulldogs. Interestingly enough, if I'm not mistaken, it was against the Blues. I know we were a different list, but he absolutely destroyed us in that game. So to get a kid with, I know he hasn't played many games, but we've got to give this kid an opportunity. I did hear, I'm backing everything that Beachy and Vince said about Hewitt and Cerra. But I'm a little bit disappointed that Bobby Hill from GWS has basically been leaning towards us in the last week or so, but has done a backflip. Apparently, Essendon is the front runner, and it's a verbal yes. So let's just get let's get a pen to paper at this point. That's from what I understand.
Yeah.
But look, it's the way footy works. He hits and misses. So be it. I'm happy with who we've picked up. And
we can't get every star.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. But what I'm also surprised about is what we mentioned earlier on about the salary cut that some players. It's actually more than 5 players. Apparently, almost 10, 11 players have actually agreed to take a pay cut, which concerns me because Sam Walsh is actually coming off contract next year. If I've gone a blank, next year I believe. And it's obvious that, I don't think he'll leave, but it's obvious that there's going to be every single club out there hunting for him, whoever they are. They're all going to be lining up for his services. So I just hope we've got enough in the tank, dollar-wise, to keep the young man, and we can make some sort of sense about some of the ridiculous salaries we've offered in the past that still hurt us today. Yeah.
Look, we'll talk a bit more about that, what Goz has mentioned about the salary cut for the alleged rumours. They say there's 5 players. I don't know if it's true. It could be 10, could be everyone, but we'll go through that in a bit more detail, I guess. I was talking to Chris before we started. The players that we've brought in have really given us a bit more youth in the team, like Cerra at 20 and 22 or something. And let me have a look. You got George Hewitt, who's 26. I didn't realise he was that old. Cerra, 22. Lewis Young, 23. I went through our playing list. We only have 2 players 30 or over, Liam Jones and Ed Curnow. So I guess Ed Curnow, this will probably be his last year, unless anyone thinks he'll go on. Liam Jones, 1, possibly 2 years. I think that's why they brought on that Lewis Young. Interesting though, I just see a comment from Joe O'Halloran, a good friend of mine. G'day, Joe. He says, I suggest Williams didn't take a pay cut. Yeah, Williams and Martin had front-ended contracts. So to bring up that point about Goz, about, we're going to sign, how we're going to get the money to find, to pay Sam Walsh, I'm hoping that comes into play. Also, each year the salary cap gets adjusted by CPI. I don't think that's going to be a lot, but I mean, other than I can't see McGovern. I can't see McGovern being there after next year. He's really got to pull his finger out, or I think we'll just delist him. And I think he's contracted to 2023. We might end up paying some of his contracts. So, Vince, what are your thoughts about the rumours about the players taking a pay cut?
Well, I guess they're rumours, or they've been reported in the media. I think Tom Brown was mentioning it on Channel 7. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But has the club confirmed any of this?
No, it's all rumours.
If it is true, there's been no names mentioned. There's been no amounts mentioned. Call me a cynic, Joe, but
You're a cynic, Vince.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm not saying it's not necessarily true, but if it is true, why hasn't the club confirmed it or denied it? And even if they don't want to, identify certain individual players who have done so, what sort of amounts are we talking?
Yeah,
5,000 a year, or 50,000 a year, or 500,000 a year. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff comes out because people want to give the impression that certain things are happening in terms of, the players are now all pitching in to get Cerra to Carlton, and how selfless are they, and we're all buying into this, whatever it takes mentality. I'm not sure that that's true. I'm just not going to accept anything unless it's confirmed by the club. So
yeah.
call me a cynic, but when the club confirms that that's happened and identifies at least the amounts involved, if not the players involved, I'm not prepared to believe it.
Yeah, I don't think the club will confirm it. But and again, I was talking to Chris off air, and I'll get Chris on just to give us a bit of a speech. Leo Sayers, I can't call him Luke. Leo's telling us that we're a destination club. Beachy, are we a destination club?
Well, at this point in time, until I see results that prove to obviously us fans that we are, it's all words at the moment for me. And to go on what Vince just said, I usually try and go by that as well. If the club confirms what the media have been saying, then yeah, great, we'll be up and about this. But you want to know the amounts, and you want to know who. It could be someone that's probably top end of the contract list, or it could be some rookie who we don't even know about yet. Yeah, look, that's all I'm going to say about the matter, because you could flip a coin on this for a debate all night, but that's not what we're here for.
Just to go back to Vince's point about the salary, Vince, you've got to take into account, this year we've lost Mark Murphy, who would have been on decent coin, 500 maybe, 500 a year.
Yeah, 500, say. Yeah.
Eddie Betts, 400.
Yep.
And who's the other one? Casbolt, I don't know, 300. Maybe 250, 300.
Yeah, maybe 350, something like that.
Yeah, so I mean that's That's close to $1 million. So maybe that's
say 1.2 between them.
Yeah, so maybe that's coming. No, it's about $1 million.
Murphy. If Murphy's on 500 and Betts is on
84.
400. That's 9. That's 900. So, yeah, about 1.2, something like that.
Let's just be conservative and say $1 million. So I guess that although you've lost 3 players to bring in one, so George Hewitt's on 450, so that'd probably cancel out Eddie Betts. And I'm guessing that what's his name?
Cerra will be on
Cerra.
somewhere around 650, 700. Yeah.
So that might cancel out Mark Murphy and a little bit of
plus a bit more.
Yeah, and I was going to say Mark Murphy and a little bit of what's his name, the Cockroach. You forget these players, Casbolt. So anyway, guys,
what's your question, Joe? You were going to ask me a question. I don't think you ever
ask a question. Yeah.
No. I was just saying. Well, what do you think? Like, I don't know why these players have to take a pay cut, because I think that all this sort of equals itself out, doesn't it?
Well, it's all about what you can fit into this year's salary cap. And, look, let's just say it's true. Let's just assume for a second that half a dozen players, let's just say they took a cut of 50,000 each or something like that, so that 300,000 could be freed up to help facilitate the Cerra deal. Okay, let's just say that that's what's happened. Should that be required, Joe? If you've got a list management team that's on top of the situation, they're planning ahead. They've, they know when each of the contracts are expiring, etc., etc. Why should this sort of thing be required? I'll tell you why it's required, because they overpaid McGovern, they've overpaid Jack Martin, they've overpaid Zach Williams, probably by double of what they're all worth, and all of a sudden we've got $1 million short of what we need. And as you said, now we've got to accommodate Sam Walsh. Now, if some of these other guys are on 7 and 8 and 900,000, and Paddy Cripps is on a 6-year deal worth $1 million a year on average, well, what does that make Sam Walsh worth?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think that's worth. If someone comes along and offers Sam Walsh $1.2 million a year for the next 5 years, are you prepared to pay it, or are you going to let him go? Tell me.
No, you got to pay up.
Well, you've got to make the space for it, though, don't you?
Yeah. I just want to I'll put a comment up there from Carlton. Mick, he seems to think we're pessimistic. We're not pessimistic, mate. All we're trying to do is work out the intricacies of the salary cap and how we're doing it. I mean, I agree with you. I hope George Hewitt becomes our best recruit. I actually liked him when he was playing.
Yeah, he is a good recruit, because he's got 120 games under his belt, or thereabouts, I think. Yeah, I think it's about 120. And he is a ready-made player, ready to go. I think things are looking up from that point of view. We've brought in some good players, but again, it's all got to gel. And the other thing is this, Joe. We've seen other players in previous years come to Carlton. We get all excited, whether it's McGovern, whether it's Jack Martin, whether it's Zach Williams, whether it's Adam Sard, all of these examples of players that we've had in previous years, and then we've been let down by what they've delivered. So, you can be forgiven if you're a Carlton supporter for being a little bit more cautious and a little bit more hesitant to drink the Kool-Aid and say, things are going to be fantastic all of a sudden. So, if some of these people that are watching our show think that we're being pessimistic purely for the sake of being negative, that's wrong. That's not fair. I think that the fact that the club has let us all down in terms of what it's produced with its players in recent years, when I say recent years, probably over a 10-year period, we've seen disappointment after disappointment. So we've got to make sure that we actually develop these players, that we actually do put into them the coaching and the skill development and the psychological development that's required for them to be successful. So, we've seen a number of examples of players who have come to our club and they have gone backwards. We've also seen on the reverse side some players that have left our club and all of a sudden thrived at their new club. So that tells me we've got a skills and development issue and a cultural issue that needs to be fixed and needs to be addressed. And I hope that the people that are now in place at the club in that area are going to address that area, that side of things, as a matter of urgency and priority.
Yeah, I'm actually hopeful that Michael Voss is like the breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been very critical about, well, he's the fourth best, person out there and all that. Well, maybe, but maybe he's learnt a lot. He was young when he took over the coaching at Brisbane, right? And he was a hard ball player. And I mean, when he was coach at I was nearly said Richmond, at Brisbane, he was quite hard, and he's done a reasonable job at Port. I mean, I think they've done well. My issue is I hope we just get the development into the young ones like Lockie O'Brien, Paddy Dow. To be honest, I don't know much about Sam Ramsay, who got delisted during the week, but I've heard big raps. Let me just go on the list of Corey Durden and excuse me. I really like Josh Honey. Zach Fisher. Zach Fisher shows a lot, but he's 2 games good, 4 games bad. 2 games good. He's very inconsistent. So, look, and the comments here are talking about, is Cripps a $1 million a year player? I don't know. I mean, that's what they've paid him. And, well, that's what they've rumoured to pay him. I actually think Sam Walsh is probably going to be better for us long term. But let's not forget that Cripps has carried this team for the last 4 or 5 years. And, maybe the toll is starting to show on him a bit. Guys, what do you think about that? Got anything to say or add?
Yeah, I totally agree with George Hewitt. 120 games with 32 goals to his credit. He is a great pickup for us. As far as Lockie O'Brien's concerned, look, apparently he's the decision now that Cerra and Young and Hewitt have been the targets and we brought him on board. Apparently Lockie O'Brien's contract's going to get more clarity this week, so we'll have to wait and see on that. I don't think people should. I want to bring up 2 points. One, I don't think people should be too overly concerned about Voss's coaching past. I think we need to give this man a chance. Nobody knew who Alistair Clarkson was. He walks into Hawthorn. He basically delists almost half the list from memory, brings in all these new kids, and everybody's up in arms. Jonathan Hay was one of the most loved players at that time, and he got delisted, and it was like, what the hell is this bloke doing? And the rest is history, as we know what happened after that. I think we should give Michael Voss a chance. He grew up a Carlton man. Maybe the passion in the blood is there to really show us the way. But I need to say, taking a page out of Deb Paltier's book a couple of weeks ago. So apologies, Debs, if I don't have this right, but you got asked that question as far as what to expect from the club next year with all these changes. And, she said the right thing and I'm agreeing with her. I'm not going to get too excited. We got all excited when Brendan Bolton, an apprentice under Alistair Clarkson, came over, all excited when Jack Martin and Zach Williams signed, etc., etc. And we haven't really moved the radar, on the scale that it hasn't moved all that much. And I just want to see results next year, and then I'll get excited. I don't want to see 1 week we give it to the Premiers, for example, and we lose by 2 points, or we even beat them, and then the following to lose against North Melbourne, but also get flogged by North Melbourne. That's the concerns that we have as supporters, and I think the members and supporters are owed by the club some sort of not reassurance, no more promises, no expectations, no, we got this, we got that, whatever. I don't care about any of that, bottom line. All I want to see is that they're giving it their all every single week. Win or lose, I can take the losses, but just give it your all. Give it your all.
Yeah, I don't think anyone disagrees with that, guys. I mean, look, let's be honest, right? Players don't go out there not to try, okay? Maybe their attitude may be a little bit down, or they may be depressed, or they may have had a fight with their girlfriend, or they may have had a fight with their parents. But let's face it, no one goes out there not to try because they're going to get hurt. All I want to see is a consistent effort And I just want, where we have deficiencies, I'd like to see some tactic put in. Like everyone could tell that we were not a very good defensive team, but it looked like nothing was being done to address it. And, that frustrates people.
Yeah.
They sort of sit there and they go, what the hell's going on? Beachy, you got anything to add? Sitting there very quiet.
Yeah, just a couple of points. I'll try and be brief. I'm with Vince on this. Yeah, we are very cautious on this because, as someone like me who's 29 and quite frankly very fortunate to even see at least one premiership, even though I can't really remember it all that well, that's beside the point. Fact is, we've all fallen for that 3-card trick so many times. We've all drunk the Kool-Aid and think, oh yeah, how great's this? We're going to be better next year. We're going to be better next year. And the next year comes, what happens? Not so much. So, we all want to be we're all trying to be very cautious about this. We want to see it happen. But we want to see proof of it before we jump up and down and get up and about.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, there's that, you can talk the talk, but walk the walk. I think we've been really good at having all these, they can smell what we're cooking and all these PR things, but we've never, ever backed it up on the field. And I think, people get sick of words. They want to see actions. Just on the list, we had a couple of delistings this week. I think I mentioned them briefly before. Sam Ramsay, I'm really sorry to Sam and his family. I really don't know much about him, where he was from, whether he even played a game. Michael Gibbons surprised me a little bit. I'm really surprised that he got delisted, but I'm sure that it's got something to do with Hewitt, as Carlton Mick has said, that he's a very hard nut, and Cerra coming. But I don't know. Well, what do you think, Vince, about Gibbons and Ramsay?
Well, Joe, I think I alluded to this last week or maybe the week before that I thought Gibbons was in trouble. Yes, he's a twice listed medalist, I think, best player in the VFL a couple of years in a row. But nevertheless, the jump in standard between VFL and AFL is quite significant. And look, I think he was holding his own for the first couple of years, but I think last year exposed him. I don't think he had too many effective games where he really made any difference at all. Just didn't contribute in the same way that he did in previous years, and eventually got dropped and then got injured. And I think that really spelt the end for him. So they've obviously decided that they can't see him being part of the future or him being part of a future Carlton finals team and premiership team, hopefully. So they've had to make the hard call on him, as they will with others.
Yeah.
They've done it with Sam Ramsay as well. I think Sam Ramsay may have played a game or two last year. He was a recruit that, and as you know, when you draft players, they're given a minimum of 2 years. So I think he might have played a couple of games last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, I don't. He doesn't really stand out.
But not this year. This season he didn't play a game at all. And in fact, I was calling for him to get an opportunity as well as the Josh Honeys and the Sam. Not Sam Durden, Corey Durdens, but they didn't give him another go, and they obviously made up their mind that he wasn't up to it. So, unfortunately, Sam Ramsay's been delisted as well. So you can't keep them all. Most clubs will delist anywhere between 8 and 12 players every season. And when I say delist, that could be partly because of retirement, such as Murphy and Betts. Casbolt has technically been delisted, not retired. He's still looking to get an opportunity somewhere else. I'm not sure if he's going to get it, but I think he hasn't given up the...
He's the cockroach, Vince. He won't die.
He hasn't given up hope of playing somewhere else. And if he does get an opportunity, I wish him well. He's been a great servant for Carlton, but, obviously it's come to an end. His knee certainly gave him a lot of trouble this year and was partly responsible for him not being consistent and not really contributing a lot in the games that he played. He battled on hard, and he did provide us with a ruck option, or at least a relieving ruck option. But in the end, I think they made the right decision there too.
I'm just reading some of the comments. I'm not going to put them all up, but a few players we want to discuss, right? Let's go through this. Vince Jason, good evening, Vince. He's said O'Brien and Setterfield have to go. Now, from what I know, Setterfield already has a contract for next year, and I can't remember who. Someone, I think it might have been Ross, said that O'Brien's been offered a 1-year deal. Well, what are our thoughts? Beachy, I'll start with Goz. What do you think on O'Brien and Setterfield? Oh, hang on. Well, you're reading, so I'll get Beachy on.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Go, Beachy.
Okay, first of all, back to Sam Ramsay. I don't recall him ever making the debut in the seniors. He might have had maybe 1 or 2 games in the lead up to a preseason or whatever, but he never made a debut for the actual
Yeah,
senior
Ross
side.
has said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, back to the point. Setters and O'Brien.
O'Brien.
Now I'll start with O'Brien. He was a. It's hard to exactly pinpoint the words because he's promised quite a fair bit. Unfortunately, he just hasn't quite lived up to the hype of those expectations that were bestowed on him when he was drafted. Setterfield, look, again, he's another one that's promised quite a fair bit, but he's struggled to get into the side. He's quick. He's got some speed, but he's not as quick. You could say his time with the ACL injury at GWS screwed him. But, look, I think this is their chance to try and prove themselves under a new coach, see if they can get themselves a game. If not, well, then I reckon they're in trouble, guys.
Yeah. Setterfield's actually quite a big boy. He's 190 centimetres. I don't understand that guy. He's another one that lacks consistency. Look, I guess Sauce saw something in him when he drafted him to GWS and, then brought him over to Carlton. But I don't think he's ever lived up to his potential. Guys, what do you think about O'Brien and Setterfield?
Look, I'm not a big fan of Setters. He hugely lacks consistency. He would have made a difference in the effect we had on game day, but he's had opportunities. He hasn't lived up to the opportunities. I would let him go, to be honest. When you have as many chances as he has and hasn't delivered, then so be it. With Lockie O'Brien, I don't agree that he's been offered a 1-year contract, but hey, I'm not Caroline Wilson, for God's sakes. But I will say that Lockie O'Brien, in my eyes, at one point was in the same pool as Paddy Dow, and look how much Paddy Dow is thriving in his position. I would give Lockie O'Brien one more chance, one more season, and throw him in the deep end. Let's see what this kid can do instead of, including him, excluding him, including him, excluding him in games.
He's only 22 years old.
Exactly. So he's got, at least 10 years ahead of him if he's committed and if he really wants to play for the Guernsey. Michael Gibbons' release, I don't know Ramsay. I'm with you, Joe. I don't know Ramsay from Borough Soap, to be honest. But Gibbons, I'm not devastated, but I am shocked. 21 games in 2019 with 16 goals, 15 games in 2020 with 11, and 11 games in 21 with 8 goals. And it's hard for me to understand why they would let him go. Look, he was never going to be a champion player. He was never going to be a Patrick Cripps or a Sam Walsh. But I'm struggling to understand why he has been delisted. I can't understand. Well,
we might have to get Greg Williams on. Vince, what are your thoughts on Lockie O'Brien and Will Setterfield?
Well, if Setterfield's got if Setterfield's got another year to go, I think you've just got to honour the contract, don't you? So if that's the case, he's probably fortunate that he's got another year, because otherwise he could very well have been another one to have been delisted. But my view is, especially when it comes to players like Lockie O'Brien, we recruited him at number 10 from memory in the 2017 draft.
Number 10,
Yeah, that's right.
And we've put 4 years into players like him and Paddy Dow. I think he's probably owed at least an opportunity to see if things will be different under a different coach. I think to a large extent he wasn't given sufficient opportunity this season. Now, I know you've got to earn your spot through how you play in the VFL. I think he more than did that and still wasn't played anywhere near as often as I think he should have been. We need to learn to develop players like this a lot better, in my view. I don't just blame players willy-nilly. I know it's ultimately up to them. Not everyone's of the same quality as a Sam Walsh. I mean, Sam Walsh, to a large extent, has defied the odds. He has performed despite the lack of development at Carlton, despite the lack of cohesive coaching through a team of coaches that are all singing from the same hymn book. I think there's got to be a reflection from the Carlton Football Club itself in terms of how it's treated players like Lockie O'Brien. So I think he at least deserves a 1-year deal and see if things are different under Michael Voss. I would hate to see players like him end up going elsewhere, given an opportunity, and all of a sudden they become regular senior players. The one young player I think we did that to in the most recent, say, the last 5 or 10 years would be a Nick Holman, for example, who only played, I think, 1 or 2 games for us. Gold Coast have ended up picking him up, and he's been a really good player for them. So that just goes to show you that could happen with Lockie O'Brien. It could happen with Paddy Dow. It could happen with a whole number of players who have been underdeveloped, not given the right direction and coaching, and may very well leave us and become really good players for opposition clubs. I really believe the best way to test whether Lockie O'Brien is up to it is to give him another year under a different coach and a different coaching panel and see if that makes any difference. If at the end of that he's not showing anything, well then fine. Maybe delist him at the end of next year or trade him or whatever you can do. But that's how I feel about guys like Lockie O'Brien and Paddy Dow.
Okay. The one that Jason has brought up, Plowman. Now, I look, Plowman to me is like an enigma. He can be good and he can be. He's good. Like when he's good, but when he's bad, he's woeful, right? I feel sorry for the guy because I don't think he got much help from the midfield. The defensive tactics of our games. I'm hoping that he can shine, but I think Plowman won't be under the pump for one reason, and that is because Caleb Marchbank, I really don't see him playing again. He's got a really bad neck injury, and from all accounts, I think he's going to be struggling to play next year. Beachy, thoughts on the Plough? Yeah, that about sums it up. That about sums it up.
Lockie Plowman. Well, with Casbolt now delisted, he's pretty much going to become the fans' whipping boy. I mean,
he's the new cockroach.
Well, he hasn't quite got that yet. He has to earn that to get that. But look, in all seriousness, he is going to become the new whipping boy for us fans because when he's good, he doesn't get noticed by us fans. But when he's bad, everybody's on his ass. Everybody is on his ass. Look,
I agree, 100%.
Fact is, we need him until someone, whether that's in the reserves, whether that's someone from the outside, can kick him out.
Hopefully, Lewis Young will step up because isn't he a defender? Like he's 202.
He's a defender ruck, Joe.
Okay.
He's a defender ruck.
Yeah. So,
Can I suggest also Brody Kemp? Brody Kemp is another player that has come into the side that might take a position down back there in either full back or back pocket, similar to Lockie Plowman.
I liked Brody Kemp. I liked what I saw of him last year. And I think Carlton Mick mentioned it before, in the last 5 games. Why didn't we give some of these young guys a go? Yeah, who knows? I think Teague was probably coaching knowing that the end was near and probably really didn't give a stuff. But
can I speak in defence of Lockie Plowman for a second?
I'll
tell you one thing about Lockie Plowman. He's one of the few defenders outside of Jacob Wiedering who actually has some defensive intent. And he is accountable for his player. And he has actually finished in the top 3, I think. It might have been second one year and third the other. I'm trying to remember the exact positions. Or it might have been third and fourth. I can't recall. But definitely top 4 on 2 occasions in our best and fairest within the last 4 years. Now, you don't achieve that unless you have, grasped the attention of your own coaching panel and all of the people that vote in the best and fairest. They must recognise that he is vital to the back line because he is accountable, because he does stay on his man, because he does keep them quiet. And I think the thing that upsets Carlton supporters more than anything is that they see the guy with a smile on his face quite often that they'd love to wipe off his face because we're getting smacked by the opposition, and yet he's, after the game, I think it was the Collingwood game this year in round 2 where he was seen, laughing and joking with one of the opposition players after we just got smacked by Collingwood. So that sort of thing fires up Carlton supporters, and understandably so. We don't like to see that sort of thing, but if he can get rid of that, I think that would probably settle down the majority of Carlton people who have got it in for him. He's actually more accountable for his man in defence than I've seen most of our defenders outside of Jacob Wiedering. What are your thoughts on that, Beachy? Would you agree with it or not?
Yeah, I would, Vince. I mean, look, what I was trying to say is, look, no matter what, he's probably going to become a new whipping boy, but when he's actually on his game, he's actually held people like Michael Walters and Fremantle to account. He's held probably maybe one of the Gold Coast forwards. I forget which one.
Was it Rankin? Isaac Rankin, I think he was playing on.
He plays tall and he plays small as well, Joe. That's the beauty of him, is that he can play on a small forward as well as a medium to tall forward. So he's very versatile in that respect.
Yeah, I think it was Rankin, but he might have had a rotation job on the Gold Coast side.
Oh no, he played on He played on Flanders, because I remember everyone was joking about it on that bagger box about Flanders on Plowman. Mr. Plow and Ned Flanders. So
yeah, exactly right.
I think that's
right. But look,
the next
he might have a rotation job there.
Sorry, what was that, Chris? I rudely interrupted you.
No, that's right. What I was just trying to say was he was probably doing a rotation job when we were playing Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you there, Vince.
Right, mate.
The other one that gets a lot of stick, especially from moi, Nunes. I'm really sorry, but this guy's 29 years old. He's played nearly 200 games, right? He should be a leader.
You realise this is becoming a weekly roast, don't you, Joe?
Sorry.
This is like the weekly Sunday night roast.
And this is why I'm laughing, guys. This is why I'm laughing.
Well, don't start me on you. God knows, don't start me on news. Oh, he has done one thing at that club in 3 years. Has it been there 3 years or 2 years? All he's done is kick that goal after the siren, right? I could have kicked. No, I couldn't have kicked it. I would have put it on the full. You wouldn't want me going for. But I'm sorry, but Ross, I agree with you. Nunes is mediocre. He's a depth player, and we don't need depth players at the moment. We need players that can take the game by the scruff of the neck and lead these younger players, right?
Joe, what you've identified here, without victimising Nunes specifically, is that we do not have bona fide, genuine wingers. We've tried Setterfield there, hasn't worked. We've tried Nunes there. We've tried all sorts of players. Lockie O'Brien, Zach Fisher. We just don't seem to have the answers on the wings. And that's going to have to change because it's a big deficiency in our structure. We have a spine. I think we've mentioned this before. We've got a terrific spine. If you look at it, you've got Jones at fullback, maybe eventually Brodie Kemp or even a Lewis Young might eventually get there. Then you've got Wiedering at centre-half back, Walsh in the middle with Cripps and now Cerra. You've got Charlie Curnow and McGovern if he ever gets to play some decent, consistent football at centre-half forward. And you've got Harry at full forward. So you've got the makings of a really top-class spine. But it's around that spine that we lack the players to really, I guess, add the meat to the bones.
So, talking on that, Vince, we gave Pitnet a 2-year deal. Well,
Yes.
What are people's thoughts on that? Because, I think he's a battler. He's not great. I think we all think that eventually TDK is going to be our number one ruckman. But
Well, they must have been pretty happy with him to give him a 2-year extension.
Well, I think there was no one else. They've only got the Merkin, who's played, one game of football and got injured. So
That's that mid-season draftee. No. I think it's either Tom De Koning or Mark Pitnet. They're the options in the ruck. Now we've got Lewis Young as a backup. I would have liked to have seen the recruitment of a really genuine, hardened ruckman.
But there weren't any available.
Richmond ended up signing up Soldo. I would have gone after someone like Soldo, but anyway, they've tied him up. Peter Laddams from Port Adelaide. Yeah, I think he would have been a really good option, but I'm not sure that he's interested in coming to us, even though we're a destination club, Joe.
Oh, yeah, sorry. hey, guys. So trade period officially ends on Wednesday. Now, the club has said that they think that they're done, but that you're never done till you're done. Can anyone see any other trades being done? Or I've heard that they want to try and get further up the draft order, but I don't know how they're going to do that. That means that they've got to give up a player or something, or a future pick.
How are you going to get a pick in the first round? Tell me. You've just given away your pick 6 for Cerra, so that's effectively your draftee at pick 6, isn't it? You're basically picking up a player that's already played 70, 75 or 76 games or whatever it was. As your pick 6, that's effectively what you've done. You've picked up a ready-made player with experience for your pick 6 and a future third-round pick as well. But
I think they gave us a future one back.
Well, the point I'm making is that you've already technically played your card by exchanging that pick for a ready-made player. If they want another pick in the top 20, they're going to have to either give away a collection of third-round picks, which they haven't. How are they going to get a first-round pick in exchange for that? Unless they give away future first-round and second-round picks.
Can I throw?
I don't know that I'd be doing that, to be honest.
Can I throw a spanner in the works on this one?
Yep.
We're fortunately not in the position as a club as we were a few years ago. So obviously, like you said, Vince, we've got the spine. We just have to work around the spine now, right?
Yep.
So we've got to remember that we do have later picks in the next couple of drafts. And there is, and again, I'm not going to rely on rumours or anything, okay? This is just from accounts from what I'm hearing is Jake Waterman from West Coast is not a happy chap at West Coast. He's kicked 50 games with 53 goals, and he was pick number 77 in the 2006 draft, and he's only 23 years old. So it just goes to show that, even later drafts, as we know from history in the footy, it's still good enough. There's diamonds in the rough to be picked at later picks. Like Brendan Favola, what pick was he? I've gone blank. He was well and truly after 30 or 40, wasn't he? But what I'm saying is that, we've got the spine now. It's just that once upon a time, we didn't even have a spine at the club. Okay, we just had mediocre players. Just want to make a comment. What you said earlier on, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Beachy or Joe. With setters, with Plowman. My apologies. He does play for the Guernsey, and like you said, Joe, when he's not good, he's very bad. But when he's good, he's good, and I think he's done his time. I mean, he's still got another season or two left for us. He was, I believe, best and fairest, third runner-up in 2019. And look, he plays for the Guernsey, and the best thing about him as well, he's very passionate. He gets out there, tries to do his job, and he holds himself accountable when he doesn't deliver. So, we need a lot more passionate players like that. I just want to know one question, if I can ask you boys. Where the hell's Oscar McDonald? For me,
well, he's a rookie.
When he started playing,
he's a rookie.
Yeah, I know, but when he started playing, he came out firing, and I thought, okay, he's going to get consistency, and then bang, along the way. I know he got injured at one point.
He hurt his back.
Hurt his back, did he? Okay, so he's
kept him out all year.
He was out for 10 weeks with it, I think, and then
just haven't heard anything about it, update on him or anything. So I was just concerned there.
Well, we haven't heard.
Yeah.
So in our draft, with the indicative draft, I mean, we did have pick 6. We gave that to Freo. We now have picks 25, as Ross has said, and 61. So, I mean, I don't know. Do we? What do you pick up at pick 61? I'm a bit unsure. And even 25. I mean, hopefully there's still a decent player. The trouble with this year's draft is a lot of the young Victorians haven't played football because of COVID. I mean, the South Australians and Western Australians, you have a bit of a handle on because, they've been playing. I mean, there's that number one, I don't know his name, Ross Hornet or something, that's been touted as the number one pick. And both Adelaide and Port have offered North Melbourne something to get pick 1, and North have rejected him. So, I mean, I don't know what you get with pick 25. Joe Scaleri's just thought up about Luke Parks. Beachy, thoughts on Luke Parks? I mean, he's a rookie.
Okay, first of all, just back on the draft pick situation, just quickly, and then I'll touch on Luke Parks. We have 25, 64, 82. That's what we have at the moment. Anyway, on to the matter at hand. So, Luke Parks. Promise, he's actually showed a fair bit. He was hard at the contest. He wanted the ball. He has a great overhead mark. Again, I think he just found himself with some inconsistency. When he broke back in, it was a bit hard for him to get his rhythm back together. And I think the club were quick to realise that, which is why he spent so much time in the twos.
Yeah, he's only. I was just looking up his stats. He's a rookie, and he's 21 years old. He's 192 centimetres, so he's the same height as Lockie Plowman. He's taller than Mitch McGovern, taller than Charlie Curnow. So, yeah, I think his disposal probably let him down a bit. But, Carlton Mick said it before. We lacked hard nuts, and he certainly was hard at the ball, as is Liam Stocker. I mean, people are forgetting about Liam Stocker. Where are we going to play Liam Stocker next year? Another midfielder who's won 2 Morris medals.
And was the captain of the Vic Metro side in his draft year, I might add.
Yeah.
He is showing plenty of promise. And there's something else that we should probably mention with Stock as well. Those brawls that we found ourselves watching every now and again. Who was the first player in backing up his teammates? Him, Liam Stocker. Liam Stocker was the first one in saying, "You want to mess with one of my teammates? Guess what, mate? You're coming with me. You come with me, and I'm going to sort you out straight away."
Yeah. Yeah,
I reckon. You know what I reckon? I reckon Carlton should recruit Beachy because he's got that Carlton grunt. We need to bring the arrogance, the Carlton arrogance back.
Steady on,
Vince,
guys.
I think
Vince has done his usual trick and dropped out at the 55-minute mark. He'll come back in and go, I don't know what happened. He must have a timer or something on his phone. Ross has
Can I
mentioned
say
that we
on
might
Luke
more than
Parks?
likely. Sorry?
I just wanted to add some. I think Luke Parks has done enough to be included in the team. I think he's earned his spot. Yes, he's had big inconsistency, but something that Vince said earlier on that really struck a chord with me was Sam Walsh was doing Sam Walsh in the last season or two, and this was with all the instability going on with the club. And he didn't need pressure on him. He didn't need to be pushed by anybody. With all the coaching instability and innuendos going on at the end of this year or mid-year, he was still going about his business. So, you got to give these players some sort of consistency and some sort of mental strength as well, rather than just physical strength. So I think we've got enough there to actually, move us forward. I mean, let's see. I'm not going to get too excited, like I said. Let's just see what happens. Matt Cottrell.
Maybe we need a mental coach. Welcome back, Vince. You did your usual trick at the 55-minute mark when you dropped out. Come on.
You're on mute.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Sorry. What have you done?
No.
I unmuted myself and then you muted me again, Joe.
I thought maybe I could unmute you, but anyway, what have you? Well,
yeah, no, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happens. Every show at around about the 1 hour mark, the gremlins come and visit me, and all of a sudden it cuts out my
Joe, he forgot
my
to hit
stream. But anyway,
he forgot to hit record for Hey It's Saturday tonight on the video. That's why.
No, not at all.
I'm in Bangkok, so
it's all the spies at the Carlton Football Club.
Yeah, probably. Although I must admit, I've just bought an Android box where I can get Australian TV now. So
very good.
I might watch Hey It's Saturday and record it. As I said, I didn't. What's the Aussie Ostrich can't still be alive, can he?
No,
the voiceover
he's
man's
passed
dead.
on.
Yeah.
Ernie Carroll. No, Ernie Carroll's gone.
Yeah, Ernie Carroll.
Has he? John Blackman, is he still around?
John Blackman's still around. He's had a few health issues, but he's still around. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Daryl Summers,
I know
Molly
Red
Mel.
Simons is around.
Okay, let's get back onto the football, shall we?
Well, you dropped off to watch it, not us.
I didn't watch anything. I was only off for 30 seconds.
I did. Look, we've been going for an hour, and we'll probably finish up very shortly. Last one I want to touch on, SPS. Well, what are people's views? I must admit, I'm 50-50 here. I'm disappointed that he left, but I'm not disappointed that he left. The poor guy was probably played out of position, but I don't think he helped himself, and I don't think he was the fittest that he could have been. He'd kick a ball and then he'd just put his hands on his hip and walk. Unlike, Beachy was saying before with George Hewitt, who can run both ways. So I don't think he helped himself. The funny thing is, he says he wants to go home. He's not from Perth. He's from up the creek. So he's still 1,000 kilometres away from home.
He's still in Western Australia. Yeah.
Still Beachy,
by heart.
Thoughts?
Okay, well, I think I was less surprised by this than I was the Gibbons delisting, to be honest. I mean, let's ask the question here: how many people like SPS were played out of position? Gibbons, I'm pretty sure was, because if you remember correctly, and Vince touched on this previously, he's won the JJ Liston medal twice, playing as a midfielder for the Seagulls. For those of you who don't know, they are the Williamstown Football Club. Here's the thing. You could say he was playing out of position. That's a very good debate. As Joe said as well, he wasn't helping himself by doing one kick and then saying, I'll guard some grass for the next 15 minutes. So, look, that's the thing. But you see, here's another thing as well. He had a good game against Collingwood in 2017, I believe. And then he had his breakout game against the Dogs the following year. So we're thinking to ourselves, well, what's he going to do next? And then, 2019 comes around, he sort of doesn't drop off. 2020 with a shortened year, he was still around, but, he just wasn't really more consistent. And then 2021, well, everybody saw it. Vince saw it, I saw it. He just dropped off, and as you say, Joe didn't help himself.
That's it. Hey, Vince, I'll get you to comment on Steve's comment that he's put up. We blame the player when they leave, but we really need to look at our club internally. I agree with him.
I agree with him
I agree and
wholeheartedly.
disagree.
Look, before you go and blame anyone for anything, you should be looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, could we have done any more to assist him? Could we have done any more to support him? And the other thing is, did we play him in a position where he plays his best football and he could have delivered the results we were looking for? I think when it comes to guys like Sam Petrescu-Seaton, yes, you can call him a lazy footballer and, he just used to kick it around 15, 20 metres here, there. I accept all that. But at the same time, we need to assess whether we really developed him in the way we should have. I think what you're going to find now that he's going to West Coast is that he will be played in a position where he plays his best football. He will end up playing middle of the ground and forward of the middle, whereas with us, he was generally half-back flank most of the time. Occasionally, they'd throw him into the middle. But that was not for the majority of the time. So look, there's probably blame on both sides. There's probably areas where you could point the finger at both player and club. In the end, it hasn't been a good marriage, despite the clean out of coaches and other people in the football department. He's still chosen to go back to Western Australia where he feels more comfortable, clearly, and he's decided that he needs a change of scenery outside of the Carlton Football Club. So will he end up being any better at West Coast? Maybe, maybe not. Time will tell. But all I know is this. We invested pick 6 into him, and all we got back was pick 52. That alone shows you how he has been devalued by the rest of the competition because of how he has not progressed, how he has not been developed, and how he has not delivered in the half a dozen years that he's been with us.
Yeah. Steve's put another comment up. Look, we will never improve with the arrogant and ignorant attitude of blaming players. Yeah, I agree, Steve, and I disagree. At the end of the day, it's a privilege to play AFL football. All of us would play for nothing, right? And I personally don't think that, look, like anything, there's two parties. We're not all just blaming SPS. Yeah, the club's got to accept some blame, but the player has to really want the opportunity and has to grasp the opportunity. At first, I think he did. Then I think he got disheartened. Maybe we weren't listening to him. So I'm not blaming just SPS. I'm blaming both. I think it's, there's always two sides to a story. If you listen to the club, they'll blame the player. If you listen to the player, they'll blame the club. And then as a priest at Xavier once told me, Vince, there's 3 sides to a story. There's yours, there's the other person's, and then there's the truth, which is somewhere in the middle. So anyway.
Yes.
Hey, guys, someone's asked me about Jack Carroll. Now, I don't know anything about Jack Carroll. Do you know anything about Jack Carroll?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Beachy will know. Beachy will know a bit about Jack Carroll.
Go ahead, Beachy.
Well, at this point, I can tell you this much. He's from the same area as Patrick Cripps. So they played in the same junior league together. Well, maybe a few years apart. Patrick Cripps played for Northampton. Jack Carroll played for one of the other sides in that league as well. I forget which one it's called.
Chapman Valley.
It's around that Geraldton area.
Yeah, he played for Chapman Valley.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. I thought someone might be onto that, but yeah, it's around the Geraldton Midland area, so to speak.
Yep.
And their feeder team, I believe, is East Fremantle. So look, as far as I'm concerned, this is probably his second year or so. He might.
No, well,
get the
he only got picked up in the draft, Beachy. So he's played 1 year. He's still
He
got
got
to
picked
get
up
another.
in the 2020 draft, Vince. Sorry,
Yeah,
he was picked 41
exactly.
in
So
the
he's got another
2020
year to
draft.
go. He'd want to crack it for a few senior games this coming year if he's going to, get another opportunity after that.
Yeah, he's 188 centimeters, 79 kgs.
Okay.
Gee.
They
Good to
might need
know.
to build up a bit.
Yeah, he might
And he
need to
wears
build
number
up a-
16.
Okay.
Yes, he wears
Jimmy
number
Buckley.
16, and he spent a lot of time in our reserves as well. Now, as someone that has gone to the odd VFL game, whether it's at Princess Park, which I must say is one of the best ones to go watch football at, or if it's somewhere like at Williamstown Oval or Tick Oval at Northport or wherever the hell you want to play, he's probably still trying to find himself on the ground to give himself some time to get in.
Yeah. Hey, Ross has asked a question here, and I didn't even know Patrick Cripps' brother is in the draft. Does anyone know about Patrick Cripps' brother? Anyone?
I believe
Bueller?
it's Josh that's nominated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know anything about him.
Well,
So
as far as I'm aware,
I
I
must
believe
admit,
it's
if anyone watching knows anything about him, please let us know.
yeah, exactly. But as far as I'm aware, I believe it's Josh that's nominated, and the other brother Daniel is running a racing business about betting or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're getting for that. Hey, just on the finally, someone asked us before, what do we think about our coaching panel, Joe? Okay, I'll go first, and then I'll give everyone a chance. Look, I'm pretty happy about Michael Voss. I mean, I know everyone wanted Clarkson and Ross Lyon, and but I think if Clarkson came, it was only going to be for the money in the end. And I'm sick of people coming in just taking the money. Ross Lyon, there was probably something else there that we don't really want to elaborate because we don't know enough about it. Aaron Hamill, he was a defensive coach under Ross Lyon at St Kilda. So I guess, Ross Lyon had a very good defensive game. So I'm hopeful for him. Who's the other one? Ashley Hansen?
Ashley Hansen, yep.
Yeah, former West Coast player. Don't know much about his coaching career, but look. And there's one more, the midfield coach. Clark. Tim Clark. Tim Clark's been at the club before. I don't know. I mean, we've given Michael Voss the responsibility, and he's picked his panel. Someone told me during the week that we've.
How do you know that, Joe?
Well, How do you know
that Michael Voss picked them? Do you know that?
I don't know that for 100%.
I'm asking the question. Does anyone know who really picked these people?
Well, you would have to assume that he's.
We're assuming Voss.
I wouldn't be assuming that.
Well,
I'm not saying he hasn't had a part to play in the decision or in the final decision, but I'm not for a second suggesting that we should assume that he is the one that's gone out and picked who he wants. I wouldn't assume that at all.
Well,
you've got a football director who's being paid to be a director, who's effectively an executive director, running the football department in conjunction with the general manager of football, Brad Lloyd. And I think that you'll find that they've got probably more say in who's coming and who's not coming than Michael Voss. They might run it past him in the end to make sure he's happy enough. But I wouldn't be assuming that Michael Voss is hand-picking who he wants.
One would hope so, but I don't know.
All I'm saying is that we don't know. We don't know.
No, we don't know.
So we shouldn't make those assumptions.
Okay. Ross has put up here something about Josh Cripps, 199 centimetres, 94 kgs, 19. Thanks, Ross.
Yep.
I don't really
know. And I've got to say, a great family too. And it'd be nice to see Josh play AFL football too if he can make it to the highest level.
Let's hope that.
Preferably with a Carlton jumper on, but who knows?
Exactly right, Vince.
Let's hope that he can join his brother. Guys, got anything,
Great family, the Cripses over there in WA.
Got anything to add on the?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty happy with the coaches. Look, I'm just working under the proviso that Voss did select the assistant coaches. I mean, we've also I'm not sure if we mentioned him, but we also got Daniel O'Keefe that spent 8 years at the Geelong Falcons, and Torin Baker who spent a couple of years at Hawthorn. But look, I'm quite happy with who we've selected. I agree with you, Joe, in regards to Clarkson. I actually got sick and tired of hearing about Clarkson come to Carlton. You know, one day it's an $8 million offer, $12 million the next. It would have just been about the money. I think we've been down that road too many times over the years. But I'm also happy with Voss because he had that experience at Brisbane. Yes, okay, it didn't work out. He then went to Port and did what he had to do there. And I'm going by all the raps that you hear, he is fired up to actually take control of the side and really show us what he can do. And being a Carlton supporter as a kid, I know some people will say that doesn't matter. Well, I think it does because it brings a bit more respect to that coaching role that hasn't been there for a long time. That's going to play a big part in it. I spoke with Aaron Hamill on the phone a couple of days ago, actually, and I touched on how does it feel being back at Icon Park after all these years, and mate, he's really pumped. He said if he had his opportunity before, he would have been there some time ago. But he's really pumped, and again, I don't want to be a skeptic, so anyone that wants to make comments, go ahead. I am not going to get excited until let's say by round 5 or 6 when we've got some sort of an idea if and how everything is gelling and what needs to be looked at a little further than what we are. As far as SBS is concerned, sorry, Joe, just a quick one on SBS before I shut up. I'm looking at it twofold. I have not been a big fan of his, but I'm not going to bash him, verbally bash him here. I think we'll only know if he is as good as he says he is or is made out to be a year from now when he's wearing that West Coast jersey. And then we can honestly see if he's been playing in position, if he has delivered. But overall, we haven't supported him. Bottom line, you can't pick a player that's mastered or close to mastering their position on the field and then pop them on the opposite side of the scale. It doesn't work that way. But that's just my opinion.
Vince, you said something before, but before you say anything, I agree with this. We will beat Richmond round 1. I'm always excited. Doesn't matter who's there. You got to have something to look forward to in life.
Well, put it this way, Joe. Put it this way. It's not before time because by the time round 1 comes around next year, in 2022, it will have been 10 long, arduous years since we last won in round 1. Round 1 of 2012 was the last time we won a round 1 game. And round 2 of 2012 was the last time we won a round 2 game. Well, so we actually have lost the first 2 bloody games in the last 9 years. Is it any wonder why we haven't played finals?
You've heard it here today.
So listen, what I'm trying to say is it's about time we break that duck. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying it's not before time. So let's win our first 2 games next year and set up the season, shall we?
That's exactly right. And what about the coaches, Vince?
Well,
be nice, Vince. Be nice.
No, look, I just want to make one thing clear here. Don't think I'm here to tear down anything. I'm a supporter of the club, and I want to see it succeed. Nothing would please me more than for us to make the finals and progress through to a grand final and win a premiership. That's what it's all about. Melbourne proved this year that you can do it after finishing outside the final 8 the previous year. So I think they finished 9th in 2020. So, I think we finished 11th. The difference is they went from 9th to 1st and we went from 11th to 13th. So, look, we can make finals. If our best players play well and stay on the park and we can build that meat around the bone, as I was saying earlier, with some quality players around that spine, there's no reason why we can't play finals next year. So as far as the coaching staff goes, I don't think Michael Voss was anything close to their first priority or their first, preference. But in the end, because they were after an experienced coach, they ended up going with him instead of Adam Kingsley or anyone else who hadn't had experience before at senior level. That's what probably got him over the line more than anything else. I also think that part of what got him over the line is that there's something marketable about a Michael Voss, whereas Adam Kingsley, at the end of the day, is a former Port Adelaide player. Not much else to him in terms of marketability. So Carlton has always tried to find people who are a little bit marketable, and I think Voss ticked a few extra boxes there. I hope it works out with him. What can I say? I mean, I think we're entitled. We're entitled to have a level of cautious optimism. So long as we're hopeful and we're optimistic and we're positive, that's as much as you can expect from Carlton supporters after the last decade or two of failure and mediocrity. So let's be hopeful that it all works out. Will it? Who knows? Time will tell.
We're going to see the post-COVID Carlton, Vince. I'm positive.
We hope so.
I feel it in my bones.
We hope so, Joe. Don't drink too much Kool-Aid. I know it's humid there over there. I know it's humid over there in Bangkok, in Thailand, but make sure you keep cool.
I feel it in my bones, Vince.
Very good, mate.
Beachy.
Well,
sorry, Vince.
No, I was just going to say the assistant coaches around Michael Voss. Look, again, Tim Clark's been with us during the Bolton years. Then he's gone back to Gold Coast for 3 years, and now he's back. So how that works, I'm not sure. Hamill, well, we all know Aaron Hamill used to be quite a respected player for us before that falling out with John Elliott, which saw him leave and go to St Kilda. First time back in 20 years. So let's hope it works out with Aaron.
Yeah, let's hope so.
The forward coach, Ashley Hansen. I hear big raps about Ashley Hansen.
Raps about him too.
They're obviously, he's obviously got a good reputation. Let's hope that we are beneficiaries of that. So again, all of this can only be tested in the fullness of time once we start playing matches, because you can wrap them up and try and sell these appointments as much as you like. Nothing's going to convince me until we actually start playing games of football and start seeing how these guys play.
Yeah. Beachy, I'm not going to get you to talk about the coaching because I don't know if you're going to add anything else. What I will ask you, though, is what do you think about Eddie Betts going to Geelong as a coach?
Well, I think the only thing I can probably say to that is I'm happy for him. I mean, he wants to coach in AFL. By all means, he should be one that we should be supporting, and we should be getting around him 100%. Now, the thing that's disappointed me there is that Eddie has come out and said that the club only wanted to offer him a marketing role within the club, which pretty much meant promotion for the club. Yep. Now, you're talking about a guy here who's played over 300 games across both clubs here in Adelaide, and you want to give him a behind-the-scenes job at Carlton when clearly his best position that he wants to do is in the coach's box. That's what he wants to do. I'm thinking to myself, what's this club doing? Anyway, look, I'm not going to go on to that. The main point of my statement is that I'm very happy for him to be a development coach at the Cats, whether that's in the reserves or in the seniors. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I understand. It's a development coaching role at the Cats where he can learn his craft.
Yeah, he is arguably the best small forward that's played. I mean, everyone's going to have an opinion, like Lee Matthews or others, but I mean, he is arguably probably the best time. Hey, guys, we've been at this for just on an hour and 20 minutes. Unless we've got anything else to talk about, just a couple of quick things. One, we failed to mention this at the start, and this is my fault. I want to wish Sam Doherty and Peter Bazzasto all the best with their cancer treatments. I know Buzz, guys, you probably know a bit more about Buzz. He's been about a week now doing it.
Yeah,
And,
he's going for his last chemo tomorrow. Actually, he just messaged me today.
He's been doing it
lost-
for 2 weeks, guys. 2 weeks. He started on the
Yeah.
Monday after the
weeks.
grand final, so he's had 2
That's
weeks
right.
of chemo.
And can I just say, he has lost a staggering amount of weight. Even his wife mentioned the other day to me that he's back to his playing days as far as the weight's concerned. But his spirits
Maybe
are well.
we can draft him.
Yeah, well, we can draft him. Yeah, pick 25. There you go. But
What are you laughing at, Beachy?
he's doing well.
Well, why
he's
not?
doing well. He's doing well.
Yeah.
His spirits are high, and they've caught it early. So it's just, unfortunately, the recovery and getting back on your feet, that's the struggle.
Yeah. And Sam Doherty, has he started his chemo? Does anyone know? I know
Yeah, he
he
I
has.
believe
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
He has. He's had his second bout of chemo today, apparently.
Sorry,
On your
what was that,
doc.
Chris?
He had his second bout of chemo today.
Okay. So, I know we finished, but maybe he might be on the long-term injury list next year. But irrespective of that, football should be the furthest thing from his mind. And, our thoughts are with him. He's been such an unlucky person since he's come to Carlton, like knee injuries, testicular cancer. I mean,
Yeah.
he never once has his enthusiasm waned. I mean, I remember seeing him in the coach's box with Brendan Bolton, and he's in the rooms geeing up the boys. And I mean, I don't know how he did it. I probably would have sat at home moped, and but I guess it just shows the character that he is and the love that he has for the football club. So on that note, Vince, any last words?
Yes, I also would like to echo those sentiments about Peter Basusto and Sam Doherty. Wish them all the very best. None of us would know unless we've been through it ourselves just how daunting it must be to know that you've got the big C word. Until we do, we're never going to really understand it. All we can do is offer our support and our best wishes, and hopefully, in the case of both Buzz and Doc, that they overcome this through the treatment and get back to being healthy and happy guys again and leading full and natural lives.
Yeah.
Beachy, last words?
Yeah, look, I'm going to echo what you, Joe, and Vince have said. This cancer battle can take a lot out of you, especially for the Buzz. This is shit you get when you're a lot older. Fortunately, with Doc at his age, I think it's going to be okay. But I touch wood. I also just want to quickly touch on the fact that a lot of our Carlton brothers and sisters have gotten around him by donating to the Peter Mac Foundation or Institute, and then shave their heads in support of Sam Doherty in getting behind him in this cause. It is actually a heartwarming thing to see, considering what kind of trouble has been going on, not just here, but around the country and around the globe as well.
Yeah. Good one. I'd shave my head, but I don't have enough hair to shave. Guys, last words?
Yeah, last words, echoing exactly what you boys have said already. God bless Buzz and Buzz and Doc. And it's amazing to see the support, especially that Doc's been getting. On that last note, we had a telethon or fundraiser online last week called the Buzzathon. If everyone Googles it on Facebook, Buzzathon, you'll come up with a link where we're actually auctioning off Legends jumpers and signing them, all in support to raise funds for his medical treatment. I come from a person who has come close to cancer, as my partner had it, and mate, it's a real bitch, excuse the language. And the recovery is staggering, as well as the medical costs. So just get behind the cause, and God bless both of them and everyone else out there battling cancer.
Exactly.
Yes,
so guys,
indeed.
Sorry, Vince. So that
I was just going to say,
show.
if any one of us, I'm not sure if you've been close to anyone, Joe or Beachy, that's that's had it, and you've been witness to someone going through it. But I know Goz has had to go through that in a very serious way, and lost his beautiful wife as a result, and had to bring up his own children all by himself since then. And he's done an amazing job and continues to support people like Peter Bozzusto, even when he was, finding it difficult just through sheer financial troubles because of some scam he was a victim of. Now this has happened, and the support has only increased since then. So it's a credit to you guys. Well done. And, as I said, those of us who haven't been through it, or haven't at least been through it next to someone very close to us who's going through it or has gone through it, we won't really be able to empathise. We can sympathise, but we can't empathise. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's hit most families and most people in some way, shape or form, directly or indirectly. But as Goz said, cancer is a bitch. And, whatever we can do to help support raising money so that they can find a cure for it, well, let's just hope that one day they can.
That's right. I lost my sister earlier this year to brain cancer, and unfortunately, I was unable to be there. But I had a FaceTime call with her from Bangkok. COVID meant that I couldn't get there, but I spoke to her, and about an hour later, she passed away. Between us, I'll let you guys in a little secret. I actually had prostate cancer 9 years ago. I had been diagnosed as fully recovered, but just in the last 3 to 6 months, the symptoms have been coming up again. So I've been doing a bit of treatment over here.
Oh, okay.
So I sort of understand a little bit of what Sam Doherty's going through, not to the same extent. But anyway, we'll get through it. I'll be here next year. Don't worry. I'm not planning on going anywhere just yet. So, guys,
Good, Joe.
Thanks
Good on you,
everyone for being on. Beachy, really appreciate it. Godfather,
No worries, Joe.
Vince, as always. We'll be back next Sunday. Hopefully, next Sunday we'll have maybe not as long, but we'll talk about the trade, and hopefully there may be a few delistings. We'll talk about some of the delistings. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, Facebook, YouTube. Tell your friends. We've got about 400 people.
In the blue corner is the
in the blue corner
is the name of the channel.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't think I'd be here today. I had my second COVID shot yesterday. My first one was a disaster.
It's a credit to you, Joe, by the way, because I know you were feeling pretty crook this weekend because of the second jab, and you've battled through, mate. So well done for that.
Well done, Joe.
Yes, well done,
I've struggled to keep any water down, but anyway, that's not it. Guys, thanks a lot. We'll see everyone next Sunday. So keep fit, and remember, go Blues.
Go Blues. Cheers.
Go the bat.
See you, fellas.
Cheers.